디지털 범죄는 보이는 걸 쫓아가면 안 돼.
그러자.
뭐야 이씨.
주문.
이 뭐야, 밥 시킨 건가? 필리핀 시내에서 사망한 차 발견됐대요. 단순 강도 살인이 아니네.
밀어.
야, 이게 뭐야?
전기 두려움을 느낀 세포 자체가 없는.
Yeah, the Roundup punishment. I think they made a good choice for not putting the number in the title because I guess they're using like Rambo logic in that like the first one's not even called Roundup. It's called The Outlaws, right?
Yes. And
Yes.
they decided to pivot after the second film, which is called just The Roundup. And then from there, they've just been adding the subtitle, No Way Out. And now we're in part 4, technically, of the series with Punishment. Hey, let's hope they go up to part 10 because I believe they want this to be their Fast and the Furious. And as long as these movies keep on making money, Ma Don-seok, our star, is going to keep punching these poor stuntmen, slapping them to the ground, throwing them into all the destructible objects. And that'll be his life.
넌 뭐야? 까불인데요? 까불고 있어. 똑바로 얘기 안 하고 뒤지는 거야, 알았어?
We just came back from part 4, but because I realized I never watched the first one, I went back and watched part 1. And part 1 is interesting because part 1 and part 4 feel like almost like direct continuations of each other. Part 4 feels like almost a direct sequel because a few things that happen in part 4 are actually callbacks to the first one.
Oh, okay. Really? I'm surprised about that. I only know that there's
Maybe not too many things, but I can point it out later.
Sure. I mean, I know there's certain motifs in some recurring characters in all of the movies. I mean, there's the comic relief character. I know he's like a staple in all of them.
Yeah, Park Ji-hwan. It's interesting. He plays this really scummy gang leader in the first one, and he dies, actually. He gets stabbed in the chest, and then I can't remember how, but in the second movie, he's just kind of back to life. The third one, he comes back in a post-credit sequence, and now he is... It's interesting. He's just so different from what he originally started out as. He's really this, he's kind of a menacing gang leader in the first one who doesn't really put up with Ma Don-seok and his whole bravado. And then this one, it feels like he's succumbed to the charm of Ma Don-seok. And he's
oh my god,
he's become like the butt of the joke in this one.
Well, I can see that. No, that really does sound like the Fast and Furious franchise. There's like so many characters who, well, at least I can think of one who died in the second movie and just magically reappeared because they retcon everything.
Surprise.
Nice clubhouse.
And I haven't watched the first two movies, but you mentioned that this series did a pivot. So is it as hard as the Fast and Furious franchise, where it's like, yeah, we're not about racing cars anymore. We're sending people to space. We're sending cars into outer space.
Yeah, I mean, in the fifth movie, that's most definitely going to come out. If they send Ma Don-seok to space, that's going to be fucking hilarious. But no, so what I didn't realize with this series is that each film is based off of a real police case that happened in Korea. So the first movie, it is based off of some Chinese Korean gangsters who are having this like kind of turf war with each other, these various gangs. And so Ma Don-seok and his team, they take care of business, right? They save the day, they do things for the community. And then in the second movie, I believe it's with the Vietnamese. The third movie, it's with the Japanese, and now the fourth one, it's not Filipino gangs, but it's gangs who are kind of working out in the Philippines. So it's interesting that they're trying to take cases that are kind of happening all over Asia and then getting actors from those specific countries to kind of help in to assist and whatnot.
Okay.
So I'm guessing maybe what's going to happen is if the series keeps going, they're going to go international, even more international. He'll be in Europe. He'll eventually go to be America. I mean, he can speak English. I didn't realize he can speak English.
Oh, yeah. And he's in the Eternals. I mean, that movie that everyone watched, obviously.
I mean, I kind of want to watch it just for him.
As a fan, I'm ready to watch that movie too. So yeah, hopefully everybody loves it.
Before you and I started recording, I blatantly just said I don't remember the movie.
Yeah, I kind of forgot it too. And I think
we only watched it like 2 days ago.
I know. I think the problem is I watched the first one and I liked the first one a lot. It's a little long. It's a little more complicated, but I think everything just kind of worked much better. And then here now we're in part 4 of the series. Is it starting to show its age? Because we have Ma Don-seok and he is coming back and he's doing everything that he's known for now with these films. He's just a big guy. He's kind of simple and he's kind of charming though as well. He's kind of funny, but not because he's a comedian, but more so because of the things he's doing. It's kind of silly sometimes.
Yep.
But then when he needs to face the physical forces that are going against him because of his size, because of his brute strength, he just delivers these big fucking hits that the crowd seems to love.
내가 사람을 진짜 세게 때리진 않거든 죽을까 봐. 근데 너는 안 되겠다.
I'm trying to scour the internet and trying to find more information about second unit or fight choreography. Not all of it's listed on IMDb, so I couldn't really find out much. But I'm wondering if the action direction changing or like just feeling overall like a huge step down. I feel like this movie is not memorable at all in the action department.
The action department, yeah. So we have Hyo Myung-hang, who is also the director of Badlands. Badland Hunters, which we covered. And I like the action in that movie. I think, it's very over the top because it's a zombie film, but it's still fun action. So in one of the interviews, he said that this is a COVID film. And part of me thinks that is the action really not there because of COVID restrictions? Because I don't know when Badland Hunters was made. And if he's saying that this is technically a COVID movie, I'm wondering if they just can't get the people really together because of what happened. So maybe that's why it's kind of lacking for us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe Ma Don-seok punching guys, is that becoming stale?
Well, right? I don't know. That's the thing. I actually found the last two movies not at all stale. I found it was actually kind of refreshing to see boxing choreography, and it's not just Rocky throwing haymakers at Apollo Creed or something like that, and then vice versa. I want to see an exchange of movements and seeing Ma Don-seok, who is again clearly a very talented boxer. I mean, he does that on the side outside of acting. I like seeing that. I want to be able to see that on screen, and I like being able to see this big ass dude move with the speed of Manny Pacquiao. It's refreshing to see that in a movie. But in this one, I just did not get that at all. We don't see any sort of bobbing, weaving, none of that. At least from my memory.
No, you're absolutely right. It feels like they're focusing on the big hits, but they're not focusing on the footwork or his slight evasion or his bobbing and weaving, kind of like we saw in the third movie. I haven't seen the second one in a while, so I can't remember how that choreography was. But yes, there's something definitely lacking in this one. I don't know if it's because of COVID. I don't know if it's because it's a new director and they just went with new action direction. So hard to say. So then, how's our villain?
What's his name? Kim Woo-hyo. He's fine. I do genuinely think he's a menacing antagonist. I found his physical presence. I mean, I could say that about the last movie too. Our villain from the last movie was pretty. We established that he's a physical threat as well as his whole gang. I remember he had a whole cavalcade of people who wielded different weapons and or they were capable. I think one of them was like an MMA fighter, or So I was like, oh, these are real threats for our main character. And in this one, there's only like 2 guys. And,
well, it's him and then his number 2.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they square off against Ma Don-seok in the end. But they do have probably the most complicated fight outside of the finale. But the problem is, and you and I commented on this after we watched the film, is you have characters on one side wearing all black kind of short hair. You have characters on another side wearing all black, kind of short black hair, and they turn off the lights. And now they're fighting in the dark. And it's not like you can't make anything out. You can definitely kind of keep track of who's supposed to be, but it's a blur. It's kind of just a blob of black moving images on screen.
Yep.
And
if someone's rolling into the background, when they were in the foreground, like, I think that's the same guy. I don't know, because it's like it's a mishmash of black and grays on screen after a certain point. I mean, I get it, what they're trying to do. Maybe I don't know if they're trying to hide anything.
It's weird. It didn't seem like they needed to hide anything, because like our main villain, he seemed pretty capable. I think he said like he practiced multiple martial arts discipline, even capoeira, of all things. So I mean, even at the end when he fights Ma Don-seok, the 2 of them fight Ma Don-seok, the lights are on, and you can see they're putting up a good fight against him. So then, like, why did they got to turn off the lights? I feel like that's where you try to hide stuff. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't enjoy that direction.
There's a bit of a disconnect for me too, that our main villain, who is set up this entire time to be, he's going to be a major threat to our main character, and by the end, I didn't really feel that way. The final fight, I just was kind of overall disappointed. Didn't really love it. The set piece is in this first class of an airplane. Mm-hmm. It's a really small cabin, and they're fighting within 4 or 5 different seats, I guess.
Yeah,
and that's really it. It's not. I don't know. Well, you and I thought it was going to go really schlocky, and it was going to be like, oh no, he has to make it to the plane, and they're going to fight outside or like Ma Don-seok's going to hang outside the plane, and he's going to crawl inside. Thank God they didn't do that. But at the same time, what we actually got was like way too simple.
It was more simple. I think it's better that it went simple, because I think
it was too simple.
I think they're saving the more outrageous stuff for the sequel. So next time he's gonna definitely hang off the side of that plane, and he's gonna punch them outside of the cockpit or something like that. But I don't know what it is. Like I enjoyed that last fight, but it really isn't memorable either. Mm-hmm. There's the great moments, the big hits. Him getting, bum rushed by these 2 guys and him doing his best to take them on. It gets better once the villain finally gets a knife, because the whole movie, he's shown that he has just been this physical menace because he's really good with the blade, and he just kind of takes out everyone with it. So the whole time I was kind of waiting for that to happen. And when it happens, that's when you actually get concerned for Ma Don-seok, because you realize that, like, oh, he's really getting hurt now. It seems like he's actually struggling. How's he going to get out of this? And then he kind of just... He overpowers him, right? Because that's really all he can do.
Ma Don-seok mad. Yeah, that's basically how he gets out of it. Which is fine.
It's fine.
And I think the action is... it's fine. It's just more on the generic action side, but not generic by itself is not bad, but it's not like, but I actually thought the last movie excelled in a lot of ways, and this one doesn't do that. It doesn't excel. It's just like, oh, it's just action movie. Mm-hmm. It's not nowhere close to the caliber of action that we got in the last movie, and that's a shame. That actually I walked out of the movie really disappointed.
I don't know if I would say I was disappointed. I guess as a whole, I was entertained by the film. Sure. If I'm thinking about the action, it's the worst of the series from what I can recall, but it's not bad.
Yeah,
It's,
well,
it's
that's
not
what
bad.
I mean.
It's not bad. Maybe because we just talked about Boy Kills World and then like Monkey Man and like what I'm seeing here, it's not the best. But then if I'm thinking about these other movies that I didn't like, I'm like, okay, I think I like it better. So maybe that's what's propping it up for me a little bit. Is this the point where the series has punched the shark?
No, I will. I'm not gonna say that. I don't even want to say that Ma Don-seok is like showing his age. I'm not gonna put those out there. Remember, the last movie came out last year, so it's like, okay, well, if they were to somehow churn these out every year, like the last movie, he was great in that. I can't imagine like, oh, it's because he's getting older in the span of 1 year. He's like, he can't do it anymore. Like, no, I think he's still possibly capable. But I want to see this. I want to see the action department, be better. Yeah. I think Kim Woo-yeol, when he's doing the press junket, he himself said like, Korea, doesn't have a really big action scene. Like there's not a huge demand for it, and like I can attest to that. But that's why we've been doing the show for so long, and we only have a handful of Korean movies. So like I was pleasantly happy with the last movie, and I do want to watch the other movies in this series. Like I want more of stuff like the previous films. Like this feels like small step back. Hell no, I'll say a massive step back in terms of action. Yeah. So I don't want it to be generic action movie anymore. Going forward, I want the series to keep going if they can, and keep the choreography and keep the action design at a good tempo.
So you're saying we should add cars?
Yes.
And
yes.
we should add heists.
Oh no, don't do that.
And we should add wrestlers.
Oh god. Oh god. Jason Mimosa.
Yeah.
Black on black look good. I know what you're thinking, and yes, carpet matches the drapes. Thank you.